Chris,
Ian.
we watched a movie.
No, we did. I don't know. That was weird. We definitely did, Ian. We watched a movie. Occupation.
Yeah,
Okay. Occupation Rainfall.
that's the one.
That's the John Travolta thing. You know, making it rain on the face, as one does. Didn't know this was a sequel.
Neither did I, but I don't. That's okay, I think.
I think it's okay. And I'll get into why.
Mm-hmm. Neither of us saw the first movie.
No. But this is written and directed by one Luke Sparke. It is
Some additional dialogue by other writers.
Yes, Australian movie, decently budgeted, something like $20 to $25 million budget.
This is a Saban Films movie.
And much like many low-budget movies, although I don't consider this low-budget, obviously. But
I mean, low compared to the types of movies I would compare it to.
Yes, 100%.
The Hollywood movies I would.
This is a big budget,
this doesn't
blockbuster style movie.
Yeah.
But I saw the cover, and I'm so used to watching these low-budget movies where the cover always looks pro, so I was expecting that.
Yeah.
And then when this started, I was like,
I was not ready for this movie.
Yeah, I wasn't ready. But what is Occupation Rainfall about?
Good question.
That is a great question, Ian.
So like a Hollywood blockbuster, this thing is just jam-packed with stuff going on. Short answer is 2 years prior to the events of this movie, aliens came to Earth, Independence Day style. The remaining humanity is on the run. They're fighting it out. They're just trying to survive. Take the fight back to the grays, as it were. Unlike Independence Day, alliances are shifting. It's not as clear-cut as them versus us. And that's what adds a little bit more texture to this than what I would expect from a bad movie. So yeah, they're trying to find a way to survive and take the fight to the aliens. That's the short answer to what this movie is.
It's very much like the same plot line to Falling Skies, the TV show, if you ever watched
Never saw that one, no.
With Noah Wyle and other people.
Mm-hmm. Those ones I remember.
Look up those other people. They're great in it. So, you're a fan.
I liked it.
You liked it.
Yeah.
What did you like about it so much?
It's the same thing. We do a lot of horror on our channel.
Yep.
And I love just watching like foreign takes on American horror movies. We watch a lot of Indonesian, Turkish, and it's just so fun to catch like different. And I got kind of the same vibes here because it's definitely like takes inspiration from. I'd say Independence Day is the strongest one, but there's also Lord of the Rings inspiration story-wise here. There's Star Wars inspiration, I'm sure, especially in some of the character and creature designs, and just seeing that big budget,
Yeah, the ambitiousness
style
is impressive. Considering almost every scene seems to have some sort of green screening, a million
and well
characters.
Done too.
Yeah, and it's pretty well done.
A lot of actors.
It's a eighth of the budget of a big budget blockbuster.
Yeah.
But yet still goes for it in those ways.
I can't imagine if Luke, what is his name? Luke Sparke?
Yeah.
If he didn't get to make the movie he wanted to, I can't imagine what he didn't get to do, Just because, like you said, it's so ambitious.
Yeah.
Any little thread you might want to pull. There's so many different things you could say. Like, well, we're going to try and save some money. Let's pull this, that. Yeah. And it feels like it's all there.
Yeah, I hear you. And that stuff was all impressive to me. Mm-hmm. I think this movie just, for me, I wasn't a big fan. I can appreciate that stuff, but I'm not a big blockbuster movie kind of guy anyways. So, but I just didn't really pick anything original out from this movie.
You're not entirely wrong.
And so it was all like, this is the Star Wars moments. This, you know what I mean? And it was just, I know I complain about movie runtime sometimes, but it's not necessarily the runtime. It's like the story isn't interesting enough to keep me compelled
through it.
Yet
it's so jam-packed with story.
Is it though?
Yeah.
I guess. But maybe because it's all been done so many times before for me that it was
it's
like
just
predictable. And
compared to a lot of things we watch, this has a much more macro scale of events, right? It's planetary-wide consequences, as opposed to very personal dramas that you often, but not always, find in horror. So when you can really hone in on one character and their struggle against the alien or the creature or the zombies or whatever, it makes that story really tight. Whereas this, you're dealing with lots of different characters that all have their moments. There's no one protagonist in this.
I thought it was fake Joe Manganiello or whatever that guy is.
You could say that, but
that guy totally looked like Joe.
He's not overly likable. I see what you mean.
Yeah, he's not. He just has the look.
He has the look of your leading man, and that's why you might think that. But you could make a strong case for Amelia being the main character as well.
Did you know the audience often thinks I have the look of the leading man between us? Did you know that, Ian? That I am leading?
Sure, let's go with that.
What I think the description you would be is, it's a mile wide, but a foot deep.
Fair.
It's like vapid, but there's so much going on that I guess it's enough to keep
a little
you...
unfair, I think, but...
I guess.
Because I do appreciate that there's some philosophical elements to this, at least in terms of appropriate use of force and...
That's what I wanted to ask you about, though.
There's a little bit more texture in that. Like I said, there are Greys that are working with the humans.
Right. So that's the stuff I want to ask you about, because I'm not familiar with any of this stuff, but is there supposed to be some thematic parallels to, like, the Australian and the Aboriginal people from Australia that they're going for there? Because I'm not sure if they are, or if it's just like a generic, like, who is the real monster in this scenario kind of thing.
That's a good question.
You know what I mean?
I wasn't picking up on that while I was watching it. I'm inclined to think not. I think you're just playing on ideas from other large, big
Okay, I think because it was Australian that I was like, oh, yeah, maybe they're touching on that.
I understand why you might think that. It honestly didn't even occur to me. And I just think because they're dealing with people that are inherently outsiders to our world, like that wouldn't be if they were trying to go for that, I think it got muddied. Yeah. And I don't think they were going for that.
Yeah,
it's the reverse of the dynamic too.
If this was like American, and then they were like, send the aliens to Alien Tombo Bay or something. You know what I mean? Like it would be more obvious, like the parallels or whatever we're going for there. But I don't know. I guess I was just reaching because it's Australian. This movie relies on its spectacle to keep you mostly entertained. I never got invested in any of the characters.
Well, the challenge for this one, for at least some people, especially if you haven't seen the original movie, which I haven't, but now I do want to go back and see, because I did enjoy this so much, is that you really feel dropped into something already happening. Yeah, like right from the jump, action is happening, and you don't know who the characters are, and you're just trying to play catch up. And I don't think it's hard to catch up. I don't like you suggested. This isn't a challenging movie.
No.
It doesn't stick with like one or two or three characters the way like the New Hope does. So you never feel lost in New Hope because you're really focusing on.
Do you think though that is one of the reasons why I might not like this thing? Well, I'm not a big Star Wars fan either.
Possibly, but you also do tend to like much smaller, single character tight stories.
Sure, but I can get invested in the Star Wars movie characters. You can get Rey or whatever, like.
And I think those movies do a better job of investing in one or at least a small group of characters.
I mean, but if you
there's no denying that A New Hope is pretty distinctly Han and Luke and Leia. There's other important characters, but those are the three core characters.
Okay, maybe I haven't seen all of them, but I always thought it was Rey and...
talking about A New Hope specifically.
Yes, A New Hope. Yes, okay, sorry.
I'm not talking about the whole thing.
Okay. But
like that would be... They're comparable because when most people, at least people our age or older, that would have been their first Star Wars. You never felt lost in that movie. You know what I mean? Whereas this movie, I could see how you'd feel that way in the beginning of it, at least.
Yeah, so I don't think the characters really work for me in this movie. Is my point. I never got attached to any of them in any way, so I didn't really care what happened. And the stakes were.
When you introduce Ken Jeong's character, does that improve the movie for you at all? Because he is...
No, it's pretty cringy.
He adds a very different note to the movie. Because it is pretty dour. I think...
It's melodramatic.
It is melodramatic, but when you add him in, all of a sudden, it breaks that a little bit in a way that I really enjoyed. I thought it gave a different flavor to the movie.
And then you have
He did have the most annoying name in the history of cinema. Just such an awful, awful... stereotype. He's Bud Miller. Like, we've got an American character. Let's name him after two American beers, because that's all that gets sent over to Australia. So we assume American beer is bad because we only get the two worst ones.
Yeah, but if we had, like, we made Crocodile Dundee, so, like...
Was that an American movie or was that an Australian movie? I don't even know. I saw it once when I was 8 or something. I don't know.
We're just as guilty about stereotyping other cultures.
But if I was gonna have an American movie and I was gonna have one Australian character show up, am I gonna call him Foster's? Insert a second Australian beer here because I don't know any others.
Let me change my script I was working on about Australian people.
I think one of the things I overall liked about the movie is like the character dynamics, more so than the characters themselves. I'll grant you that they don't have a ton of great characters, but the relationship between Bud Miller and was it Steve? I think it was.
It was Paul from the movie.
No,
Paul.
it was Steve.
He was Paul
was
from
his
the movie
was
Paul.
his alien partner. They had a really fun dynamic, and even let's go ahead and get the character name in there. Oh, I didn't write the character name down, but Dan Ewing is the actor who you keep talking about, the army guy, the handsome one. He and Gary have a really interesting dynamic that really carries it for me.
I guess, but it's a dynamic you've seen so many fucking times.
Sure, but it's done well.
Two people that don't like each other forced together and then grow the relationship. Yeah, you're right. That is the thing. With a movie so ambitious with so many characters, you do need to keep the arcs well established in cinema language, so it's not confusing. It's not a deep movie. You're right about all that.
And compared to a lot of foreign low budget films, which again isn't really low budget, it is fun to see several actors from Hollywood movies. You got Ken Jeong, of course, but then you also have Jason Isaacs is awesome.
Yeah, I didn't know that was Jason Isaacs, and I couldn't recognize the voice, and then I looked up like, oh wait, that's him. Okay.
Tamura Morrison being in this is pretty cool.
See,
for the Star Wars
but there
fans.
are so like maybe the comparisons I make here, I don't know. So like Train to Busan has a lot of characters and stuff going on, and there is one. But there's one, and that's what I'm saying. I think that would have served this better.
Yeah.
You could have had all these side characters, but one that you could really invest in.
I wonder what the first movie is like.
Yeah.
Because by the time you get to Empire Strikes Back with Star Wars, then your characters, they start separating and branching out in different directions, and the scale of the story's so huge, it'd be weird if they all stayed together, you know what I mean?
But every Star Wars battle scene and all these action scenes in other movies are generally important and have stakes. But in this, give me 5 less action scenes for one that's actually meaningful.
No, I thought they were all meaningful enough.
Okay, for me it didn't work.
Yeah.
And also, I hated the goddamn score because it was endless and it was generic string orchestra stuff that was constantly bombastic, and it felt like this movie didn't feel like it wavered in its, like, it was always riding, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was very few down moments.
Yeah.
And so it never felt like the momentum was gaining because it just kind of felt straight for me. You know I wasn't going to like this thing.
It's pretty great. I liked it. Recommend it.
If you're looking for something to put on in the background that you barely need to pay attention to and you can tune in whenever you want and still understand what's going on,
this one.
I highly disagree. You might not pick up on the intricacies of the shit they're talking about with the alien lore and shit, but none of that actually matters because this is a storyline you've seen so many times before. And it plays out exactly the way you think it's going to.
You're just repeating yourself now.
You repeated yourself earlier. I'm not allowed to repeat myself.
You're just being negative, though.
I'm being honest.
No, there's a lot going on with this one, and if you're missing things, if you're not paying attention for 10 minutes, you're going to look and be like, who is that character? I have no idea what's going on here, and you're going to give up. I think this one requires at least some attention. I'm not saying you can't do anything else, but...
Sure. Yeah, but the effects are impressive.
Yeah.
Especially for the budget, so...
Yeah.
If you like those kind of movies, maybe check it out. It is out now. Because this came out like, I don't know, 6 months ago or something.
Just in June. Here.
Oh, really? When did the first one come out?
2018.
And there's a part 3, obviously.
On the way, yeah.
Wait, I'm confused, because this ended and said, like, part 1. I was like...
Well, yeah, I think that's the second part of this specific story.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
No. Because wasn't the first one part 1?
Well, it's a different story, but set in the same universe, you could argue. You know what I mean?
I wonder if this thing... How are they recouping $25 million?
Maybe it does really well in Australia.
Because, like, I didn't even hear about this when it came out, did you?
Yeah. No, not really.
Yeah, maybe it played well in Australia.
Don't know.
That's gonna do it for our occupation Rainfall.
You're done.
We will catch you here next time. Joe Mangello. Is that how you say that guy's name?
Something like that. Manganiello, maybe?
I wrote it Joe Mangello. I wasn't sure how you pronounce it.
Should have had that in the video.
So now I write people's names and how I think they're pronounced.